Imagine, like, reducing your entire destiny for a single Tuesday down to a spreadsheet.
Right, yeah.
Just stripping away all the poetry and myth of astrology and boiling the messy cosmos down to a single, cold, hard number.
Which is exactly what we're doing for you today in this custom deep dive.
Yeah.
We're unpacking this excerpt from a text called Calculating the Solar Transit Coefficient.
Specifically focusing on Lesson 5, right?
Right, Lesson 5, which isolates the mechanics of one single date, January 16th, 2027.
So our mission for you listening is to decode how these, qualitative planetary positions actually get translated into a concrete mathematical score.
Exact.
And to understand the final coefficient, we really have to establish the baseline rules first. So let's start with the geometry. Like, what exactly is interacting with the sun on that day?
Well, the foundation of the system relies on aspects, which is really just a technical term for the geometric angles between planets.
Right.
So on January 16th, the sun receives a sextile aspect from Neptune. A sextile basically means the two planets are exactly 60 degrees apart.
Okay, and geometrically, that's considered a friendly angle, right? It allows their energies to cooperate easily.
Yeah, exactly. So its score is a +1.
Got it. And the text also notes the sun receives a trine from Uranus. If a sextile is 60 degrees, a trine is 120 degrees apart. It's an even more harmonious flow of energy. So that adds another +1 to our coefficient.
The logic here is really straightforward structural addition. Favorable angles equal predictable positive points.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because
Yeah.
if the math is literally just adding up these fixed geometric angles, that seems almost too simple, like collecting standard power-ups in a video game.
Yeah, a little bit.
Does this system account for the actual environment those planets are sitting in?
It absolutely has to, because the geometry isn't always friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, in this exact same day, the sun forms a square aspect with the moon.
And a square is a harsh 90-degree angle.
Right. And normally within this system, a 90-degree clash represents friction. It would subtract a point from your total.
I like to think of a square aspect, like two cars arriving at an intersection at the exact same time. It causes friction, usually a crash.
Which is why it's normally a negative point. But here is where environmental context completely rewrites the rules. On this date, the moon happens to be located in Taurus.
Taurus is an earth sign, right?
Yeah, grounded, stable, methodical. The moon, meanwhile, represents raw, fluctuating emotion. So when you put the usually erratic moon into stable Tauruses, it essentially calms down.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it enters what astrologers call a strong position.
Wait. So if a square is geometrically a harsh 90-degree angle, how does being in Taurus change the actual math? It's like a sports team getting away with a penalty just because they have home field advantage.
That is a great way to look at it.
Right.
It's an override mechanism based on resilience. Going back to your intersection analogy.
Yeah.
Yes, the 90-degree angle means there is still a collision. But because the moon is in that heavily fortified Taurus position, it's like one of those cars is a massive armored truck.
Oh, wow.
It simply drives through the friction totally unscathed. That inherent strength turns a normally negative collision into a positive display of power.
So it's scored as a +1 instead. That is crazy.
Yep.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We've calculated the incoming traffic, basically the angles hitting the sun, but the sun's own placement acts as the final variable in this equation.
Because you can't just look at the external forces. You have to look at the foundation of where the subject actually sits. So on January 16, 2027, the sun itself is located in Capricorn.
And according to the text, Capricorn is another stable Earth sign, heavily associated with structure and highly compatible with financial matters.
Exactly. So simply by sitting in that secure, commercially favorable environment, the sun gets an automatic baseline bonus.
That inherent stability provides our final structural +1 coefficient.
Right. So when we tally it all up.
Let's see. We have the 60-degree friendly sextile from Neptune for +1. The 120-degree harmonious trine from Uranus makes 2. The armored truck moon in Taurus overriding a crash makes 3.
And the sun's stable foundation in Capricorn makes 4.
A total solar transit coefficient of +4. We've taken these complex, overlapping celestial mechanics and basically distilled them into a very clear metric.
By blending strict geometric rules with environmental exceptions. Yeah.
And for you listening, what this actually means is that if you're planning a major financial move or a big project on January 16th, 2027, This text is arguing that the underlying mathematical architecture of the day is fundamentally working in your favor.
The environment totally supports the action.
It does. But it leaves you wondering. I mean, if a normally negative 90-degree clash can be flipped into a positive simply because the moon is in a heavily fortified sign, could a typically positive, harmonious alignment like a sextile or a trine actually turn negative if a planet is placed in a remarkably weak sign? Can the celestial spreadsheet actually go into the red?
Now that is the real question, isn't it?